told you to remember the moral equivalent of war, mew. I said that Obama's speech was nothing like Jimmy Carter's crisis of confidence speech, and that's true. Perhaps it's because he learned from that speech. During his speech, Carter read several views of different citizens, including this one from a, quote, labor leader. Watch.
And the last that I'll read. When we enter the moral equivalent of war, Mr. President, don't issue us BB guns.
Well, it's a good thing that progressives learn from their mistakes. We are still looking for a moral equivalent of war, but the president certainly hasn't issued the labor leaders and the labor unions in this country BB guns. He's about to give them the keys to the armory. I want to talk to you now about energy reform. Reform that no one wants. In fact, reform that even Spain's media is warning the Americans about, saying Obama is about to push America over the green cliff. Here's an idea. Let's make a rule that no major reforms can be jammed through during a crisis or a moral equivalent of war. We're not thinking clearly. It's kind of like hooking up while intoxicated. Seems like a great idea at the time, but then the beer goggles are removed and you think, why the rush? Why are we force feeding everything? Healthcare, financial reform, immigration. Now gigantic environmental tragedy is going to be used to tell us not how to shut the spigot here, but try to get us off of an oil-based economy immediately with no definable plan. The coalition has fallen apart on this energy bill, cap and trade. They've already tried it, and then it died. They tried it again, and it died. Then they tried the American Power Act, cap and trade with a new name, and that died. And voila! Now we have an emergency. And we know in progressive emergencies, you are never the one that wins. A 6-month moratorium on oil drilling is a death sentence. Why? Why is it a death sentence? Well, you know those big oil platforms that are sitting down and they are going a mile down to drill? Those big oil platforms are not cheap. They don't just sit around if they're not being used. They are immediately leased to someplace else in the world, and they are used for as long as they last. You don't just sit around with empty equipment. It doesn't just go back on the beach. So when it's gone, it's gone. And so are the jobs, because not everybody can build them or work them. It's first come, first serve. So what happens to the equipment and the jobs? Where are they going? How does that help you? A drilling moratorium, cap and trade, is going to make your life easier and cheaper. Does that sound real? Will your energy be cheaper? Will your job be more or less secure? If your job isn't more secure and your energy isn't cheaper, who wins? Because you're not. Who does? Well, the usual suspects. Let me tell you here about George Soros, the billionaire progressive activist that funds the Center for American Progress. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Center for American Progress, which is the group that Van Jones and everybody has been hiding out in and picked the president's staff, helps the president write his talking points and makes decisions. The report in the Wall Street Journal states, May 4th, for instance, the cap-and-trade energy and environment expert Daniel Weiss called on the president to name an independent commission to look at the causes of the Deepwater Horizon disaster. On May 22nd, he did just that. On May 21st, CAP President John Podesta privately implored White House officials to name someone to the public point person on the spill response. Guess what? A few days later, they did that. On May 26th, Weiss said that the White House needed to demand that BP immediately set up an escrow account with the billions of dollars from which claims of the Gulf state residents would be paid out. Oh, yeah. They did that one as well. But don't worry, it's not like George Soros has anything to gain from how the president handles BP or anything like that. That would, of course, be wrong. And if that were happening, I'm sure everyone in the media would be all over it. Especially thinking that there is a lot to gain here. For instance, in Brazil, according to Reuters, Brazil is the one that really stands to benefit from the BP oil spill catastrophe. As the U.S. moratorium makes more rigs available for other countries, Brazil is going to gobble them up. Brazil is plowing ahead now with a $220 billion 5-year plan to tap oil fields that are deeper than BP's ill-fated Gulf well. Remember, $220 billion. It's deeper than what we have here, and the equipment is going to go from the Gulf down there. But again, George Soros has nothing to gain from this. He's just telling the president what to do through the Center for American Progress. The Soros Fund Management, LLC, I guess we should tell you this, holds a stake in Petrobras, that is the oil company of Brazil, in the amount of $900 million as of December 31st, 2009. Petrobras, the Brazilian oil company that the Obama administration, get this, the Obama administration is now lending $2 billion to. You ready? Wait for it. What is the $2 billion going for? To perform offshore drilling in Brazil. Let me see if I have this right. We ban it here. We lose the jobs here. We send the rigs down there. We loan Brazil to do the money to do the drilling in deeper water. The oil company, the big investor, is George Soros, who is advising the president on how he should handle the Gulf. The criminally negligent media are too busy right now showing you pictures of birds with oil on them. They don't have time to bring you the stories of politicians and billionaires with grease all over their palms. I have good news and I have bad news. Fanny is IE, isn't it? I have good news and I have bad news for you. Fanny and Freddie, they're in trouble. Oh, they're in trouble. Oh, it's IE too? Grow a set, Freddie. Girls spell it IE. They have been delisted by the New York Stock Exchange. Why? Well, nobody wanted to look at them anymore. In the past 5 years, these government-sponsored entities have been so well run that both stocks have fallen over 99%. Today's Fannie stock was down, closing at 43 cents a share. But brother Freddie held up a little better at 52 cents a share. But by next month, you won't be able to get them on the publicly traded market at all. That's bad news, huh? The fabulous investment opportunity has been taken off the table. But don't despair. Now the good news. Fannie Mae has a patent on a protector for your outlets. It's great. In fact, I have the schematic here for it. It is fantastic. And I want to tell you all about it. Because really, because it's war, we have to help Brazil drill, help Soros' investment down in Brazil, pass cap and trade. I don't know if we're going to stop the leak. That's a second thought. But when we pass cap and trade, we've got something really great. I talked to Congressman Jason Chaffetz about this product, and here is how he explained it.
Well, they say in this letter that, oh, this is just a guy on staff, and they were using it to try to make sure that it doesn't, it doesn't allow surges on computers. Well, baloney. I mean, they went just so far as to get all their attorneys engaged, and they went and got these patents. And what it does is it allows to take an individual unit, and you could go up to the actual outlet, and it says it's for homes. It doesn't say it's for business.
Right.
And they go into their home, and they can actually turn off your energy. So it literally locks down your energy in your home. And the concern that some of us have is that if they're pursuing cap and trade, this would also allow them to go and say, you know what, you've used too much energy this month. You're not going to be able to access the very outlet that's in your home.
Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. That's what Congress is looking into now. They asked Alfred M. Poller, the general counsel for the Federal Housing Finance Agency, to explain why this mortgage company would need or want such a patent as this.
I love what they said. This is what Alfred Pollard wrote to me just on June 7th. He said, quote, "The device prevents unauthorized or unqualified personnel from connecting equipment to outlets, such as vacuum cleaners or heaters, which may cause circuit overloads, trip circuit breakers, and result in the loss of alteration of data residing on the computer systems powered by the same electrical network."